course it is. We did that when I was in high school. Sweatshirt with all the signatures of our classmates on it.
Oh, yep. Yeah, we do it for HME school. We do. We
Very cool.
have it on the back. So.
Good morning. Well, you are optimistic. Shorts? Only in South Dakota do we think 28 degrees is nice. I had a kid in high school, he would never wear pants. Middle of winter, he'd wear shorts.
Oh, sounds
And
like
shorts
my
and
brother.
Crocs. Yeah.
My brother shorts, tennis shoes, and the most he'll have is like a sweatshirt when it gets cold. But it's always
crazy.
shorts.
The older I get, the more I hate cold. I used to be able to run around with nothing. And I still won't turn the heat up though, because I don't want to pay for it. All right, are you ready? Should we get started? Oh, Liz is at, we'll wait. Yeah, we'll wait. We got time. Oh. I would always sit in the chair uncertain with the wheels that don't work. I always get the card at Walmart that doesn't work. Great. You're welcome. All right. We're gonna. Good morning. We're going to do an activity this morning that gets to kind of dissecting anything that you might want your students to understand in your classroom that gets them to figure it out themselves, a little more inquiry based, all right? Good morning. You have 2 note cards. The first note card, you're going to put down what your initial answer is. I'm going to do a pre-assessment on you. So you're going to put down what your answer is. And you're only going to have a minute to read it and to come up with a conclusion. All right? Everybody good with this? All right. Now don't cheat. And if you know what the answer is, that's okay. That's what we do this for, okay? All right. So here we go. I'm going to start the timer. Go. Shh, don't talk to each other. All right, put down your answer quickly. Freddie's here. It means his wife isn't having the baby this morning. No, don't cheat. Just put your answer down. All right, everybody get an answer down? All right, I will seal these. Huh? I know who you are. So as I'm collecting these, right, so I'm doing very quickly. who knows what and who doesn't know what. And based upon that, I can kind of figure out who should be paired with people. All right, so. Fabulous. All right, so you guys be a group, you three be a group, you four be a group, and you five be a group, all right? Get yourselves together. I kept it very simple. All right. So I have given you a piece of text, and from the looks on some of your faces, it's exactly what a lot of your students would look like when you give them a piece of text that they think is way over their head, right? The first thing I want you to do is I want you to spend time in your group dissecting what that says. You can use the whiteboards, you can use paper, you can do whatever you want to here. Figure out what it literally is saying to you. That's the first part of this. So I'll give you about 4 minutes to get that part done. Figure out literally what it's saying to you. So if you were to redneck this down and be able to explain it to somebody, what does it say? Okay? Redneck it down. Remember, don't solve it, just figure out what it's saying. Don't solve it, just figure out what it's saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't solve it, just figure out what it's saying.
It depends on when it's written. Okay, so it has to generally think about what's.
It's not necessarily grade yard. I would say it has to.
So I guess if you're in the wrong,
Very different. So I
it's
was
very
there
down.
probably or possibly up to that. That would explain it for my guy. Yeah.
Well, they're not in charge.
Right.
But
Very little. Yeah, don't go metaphor. Right? Very little. Be very literal here.
what is that?
Yeah. You see if you're
Very literal.
What's that? I have no here. I'll do
Awesome.
Oh, like
Yeah.
Oh, and that would make sense. I didn't know.
but twos are not great. That would kind of every sort of error. What else we can call it?
Exactly. Using the context of it, right? Sometimes the definition itself, we're talking about that, sometimes the definition of it.
What error is
You know, so much more stuff. The shade is down.
Yeah, no, it's not like super.
Or if it's a sudden attack.
Yeah, well,
Circle. They're doing smart stuff.
So why would you make that distinction? That they're doing smart stuff.
They're doing breakdowns that they learn.
So why is that? That would
It's just they're using their.
Yeah. I like
So
it.
if they're
I love
all.
it.
And then, okay, so the title of the thing is
Okay,
I guess they're all.
Also, that makes sense that. So, okay, we go ahead. I make all of that very
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess that was the part, like, I definitely have got everything up to this question. I was like. I feel like the answers
Right in there, right?
Like actually, you know, not what number, like, not that awkward appropriate.
Yeah, what?
You got a red light flashing, it should tell me what it says. All right, so the next step in this, right? So everybody, as you're all working in a group, you as the teacher, you're walking around, you're figuring out what each group knows, you're identifying how they are attacking this particular thing. Because remember, the only thing I've asked you to do is to just redneck the language down. Just knock it back and be able to explain what it's literally saying, right? So let's start over there. You guys share up. What do you think it's saying?
I saw it as like somebody walking through like the graves of like a bunch of dead people.
Okay, so somebody walking through the graves of a bunch of dead people. I hope they're all dead, right?
Or even like I was saying like someone walking through like a graveyard of maybe like war veterans.
Okay, good.
Like talking about like rocks.
Okay, good. All right, you guys go next.
Well, we kind of like broke it down to, you know, someone's walking through a graveyard, like, you know, they said are tombs, or, you know, I go to Egypt, or something like that is what I see in my head, and then
Okay.
they are finding these like corpses that are shriveled and curled up in the walls, and it makes them think that if they're all round, packed up like that, and truly round, then how many of them? Maybe they're buried in like a circle with one in the center.
Okay, cool. You're really concerned about the answer.
Yeah. I really want to know.
All right, you guys, what did you come up with?
We felt like it was almost like sacrificial.
So like,
Like with them all laying, we pictured like this picture a circle, like people rolled in circles, but also laying in a circle.
okay, all right.
Game of Thrones kind of.
Oh, okay, so you knocked it back to Game of Thrones, you knocked it back to going to Egypt, you guys knocked it back to something else. All right, what about you guys?
Yeah. You mentioned.
And again, we're not worried about the answer, right? We're just worried about knocking it back to understanding it.
I thought of Pompeii. So when Ash and Robert overtook the city of Pompeii, everyone was supposed to fall, like, kind of help them survive because it was not good anyway. Yes, it did make a difference at the end. Displaying the pain.
Paroxysm?
Yep.
Okay.
But I don't know the single layer, so I was working on that shape in my pre-assessment.
Okay, all right, very cool. So as you're listening to these groups, you've taken something that's pretty difficult for most people, right? To read this, to knock it back, to truly understand it. And then as an instructor, you have to deal with the very first thing, because as my pre-assessment, I literally directed you to the answer. So then when I get you into groups, now I have to knock you back from worrying about the answer to worrying about getting to the answer. How am I going to get you to the answer itself? Now, as you do this first small group, you notice every single group made different connections, whether it's to Egypt or whether it's to Pompeii, whether it's to a million and 12 different things, right? He went to the movie Seven over there. A lot of different things. So now you've got the students thinking. You've got the students thinking about a variety of different things. Still don't have a real good feel for what that's saying. So the next step in this is to knock it back even further, all right? So you guys need to do the top half. Those two groups over there. You need to figure out what the top half says. So you literally are going up to the part where it says he claimed, all right? That's the only section you need to worry about. Your two groups over here need to take from I'm sure it made a scant difference in the end to the bottom. And you need to figure out what that means. So now you need to literally dissect a very small portion. So go ahead and do that in your groups. Just a very small portion. You can get together, sure, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, you can talk, you can do it alone, you can do anything you want to.
But it gave me thoughts of what they're
Curious.
curious.
That's what I see.
Again, literal. Literal. I know, it's tough, especially for the family groups, right? Literally.
It's gonna be something.
Just going back to your number of saying. So, how many rounds, can actually come in physical contact with the one person who's in the center? How many people can actually come in physical contact with you? So how many little balls can we fit around these people trying to
So yeah, I guess. Violent motion.
I don't know. I think that's what it's happening. I think,
They were
and
walking and this
it
guy.
changed depending on how big the center point is.
Hey, that's a
Yeah, that's, I
I
think.
wouldn't pretend like I knew it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big
Yeah, so how many little people can actually come in one physical contact with that person? I don't know, that's what I think. This one layer, yeah, so you can't layer people out, it's like, okay. I'm going with that. I'm going with that. I'm going with that because that's the only thing I can think.
You guys have a good idea? You want to chat with me about it? You're all the same friends, and you're all doing the same thing.
For the questions part, I guess we thought like one person just like
I was
thing,
thinking
but actually like
I was
touching the
thinking
person in
like
the
when it
middle,
says Dan.
and then in reference to like a single layer. Layers. Yeah, exactly that.
But has its own like severity.
So I know we are very far, but
Not that fast.
We got caught up with, who was asking.
Ooh.
Really.
All right, make sure that everybody in your groups are familiar with all of the language, with your conclusions, right? Make sure everybody can explain it.
Which could make sense
So
because
he
they
is being
layer
guided
how
by
circles.
by
But would that be
yeah, and so there's like if you just say
No, it's like your.
There's no one coming back.
Delta's Inferno?
So they are in pain.
It's Ellie.
They're like really screaming on the floor. They're only fun. Especially for.
Layers, levels, yeah, levels of
Yeah,
how.
I was assuming, yeah, exactly. I saw two. And I'm like,
But
But I think it's more like.
like a layer in the
and
earth.
that's kind of why I said, like, if they make-
Layer of, okay. That's like a physical location that would be like LAIR.
Right. Yeah, like something that a tiger would live in.
Right. But
Oh.
in Dante's Inferno, he calls it the circles of hell. Yeah, but they also talk about layers, and then the deepest circle, there's two souls at the bottom, it's Judas and
The devil, I'm pretty sure. It's Satan and Judas, I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna say 2.
All right, so the next part of this now is that each of you gets to become an expert for the other side. So find someone from that, actually, you're smaller. You're a smaller group. You guys need to find somebody over here, or 2 somebodies over here, and now you need to get those 2 pieces together. Your top part to their bottom part, not as a whole, find them individually. Okay? And yes, I highly suggest that you use the wheels. Yeah, you need to find somebody individually. Lorenzo needs a body. All right, and now get the 2 ideas together.
Like the first layer is like wandering like the box.
And we need layers. So that we have that.
Actually, the first
Yeah, it's a crazy book, man.
I read it.
No, you didn't. Design.
Don't read it before you.
Judas and Satan. But we're the
Don't read it before you get till the end.
We're the head. It's Judas and Satan.
Yeah, right.
And then.
All right, are we good? Are we still looking? Need a little bit more time?
Oh, yeah. Who's frozen the ice?
All right, now you're with the new group. You've got the 2 jigsaws together. You've got the top half being explained to the bottom half and vice versa. So in your pairs, at least, or in your smaller groups now, you should have a whole, or at least something more going on. Now, as the instructor, you can ask that one question. In your small groups, I now want you to knock it back to what is the intent in that entire paragraph. What is the most important thing for the student to understand in that paragraph itself? So talk about that and come up with an answer to that. What part of that should the student be focusing on?
I think. Just a little. Right?
And that's really it.
All right, you all have a note card. Write down what you think the student should be focusing on in that particular thing. And just one in your group can do that. All right? One person. One person. Yeah. What's the one thing your student should be focusing on? That's okay. You're going to need it again anyway. You don't understand that. You kind of don't know. Those are the different things.
I can be like.
If you did-
Yeah, like more drugs.
Yeah. Like if you give your students what you want your students. All right, so do we have an answer down? All right, why did I have you write it down first? Welcome to change it, right? What typically happens if you don't have your students write it down and then you just ask them. So I ask Lorenzo gives an answer and it sounds fabulous, and then I go to Carter and, you know, he's over here and it's not what he was thinking, so now all of a sudden he's gonna change it, right? So really want what they're really thinking at this point in time. So share some of your answers here. I don't care who starts, go ahead. The pain of the damned. Nice. English, right? So her major is English. It's all this. History, humanities, right? All right, good. So what else did we put down? Are we scared now? It's written down. The only thing you have to do is have somebody read it.
You know, it was a really good answer.
We put problem solving, that's what we want.
Oh, fabulous. So if you were thinking problem solving, right? What's the problem they have to solve?
Understanding it.
Yeah, understanding it. Get there, right? Literally, look at that. So they're saying problem solving. What's the problem that the student has to solve?
Who's at the bottom in the single layer?
How many souls can contact the 1%?
Bingo. That's the focus of what needs to be there, right? What does the rest of that material have to do with the question at the bottom?
Context,
Context? What context?
where it is, even though it's misleading.
And does it matter?
I guess. Yeah,
I love to-
I think so, because they're talking about souls and how many, you know, so I guess you got to know what they mean by contact. And now that I know it's, you know, hell and not Egypt, we're not, you know, dead and just slaves and whatnot, like buried with the one single master at the center. I know now it's like a layered and it's.
So your students now get the context behind it if the rest of the material is there, right? So let me ask you this. If this was the only part that I had given you, if packed all tight and truly round, then what number of souls could contact one that lay inside the center of a single layer? It is a riddle. If I had just given you that, would you have had the discussion about the other stuff? And I want you to think about the discussions you were having. Dante, how many people were in ice? What was going on there? What did that word mean? You have your students thinking because of the context of the rest. But when it gets down to the gist of it, what does the student have to answer? The question at the end. So now you've got that isolated for your students, right? All right, now you have one more note card. Who needs another note card? All right, and again, don't cheat. Don't cheat. Who needs one? All right. All right, ready? Yes. Again, ready? Here you go. This is the same question. So what is the answer to that? Don't look at somebody else. Don't look at now listen, before you write this, think about everything that's been said. Think about everything that you have heard. What's the answer to the question that's being asked?
I'm like,
Try to write two answers, have two note cards.
No, you can write one.
I don't know if the answers.
All right, now keep in mind, right, I have your pre-assessments, and as I went around and I picked those up, I knew immediately who had answers that were really close. I knew immediately where some of you were thinking in your answers. So now as I collect these, I'm going to do the same thing. Did those people who had a particular answer change it? Did they get more answers that are absolutely correct, right? Well, there's no failure here.
Right now, I'm gonna fail class. This might be it.
It's just kind of. Every time we're reading.
Just binge watch Queer Eye with my wife.
Me and Cheaper is both really intelligent. People talk.
Before you wrote that? All right. So I'm going to ask you this. In your small groups, figure out now literally what is that question asking you?
In contact with the layer.
So, contact is similar.
And then, as I already did the 5.
These are like collateral, they all touch each other. How's it zero?
You say it's a stretch, but it's what's on your board.
Yeah.
The little side that I guess.
I feel like we're literally. It's like if I think about it, I would think I should have done this.
I just cannot. It's just, I don't know.
All right, so this is where you might have the large class discussion now, because I know where you started. I know what the conversation was as it existed. That you, I was gonna say it sounds like mine a lot.
Yeah, that's what
I had a, she was a senior, her class went off, her alarm went off in class like 9:30 in the morning. And she was like mortified. She said, oh my God, that's my alarm to get up. And we all looked at her like, school starts at 8. Why do you have an alarm to get up at 9:30? She happened to be one of those students though who, you know, time was irrelevant. All right, so now I kind of know where everybody was. I know where you started. I know what the discussion was. I'm seeing some of the notes that you have on the board. So now's where you can have that large class discussion. So Kay, what were you thinking at the beginning and at the end?
I thought it was a 5.
How come?
I just thought it was like a physical, like, circle of, I said bodies, not souls. So.
Which is fine, right?
Yeah.
A body, a soul, those kinds of things, right? And did you change your answer?
I did.
How
I
come?
switched to the document and Braille we talked about earlier in our earlier small group.
Okay. Good,
Just made
good,
more
good,
sense
good.
to me.
All right, awesome. Rebecca, what did you think at the beginning? What do you think at the end?
Well, at the beginning I thought 1 because I had no idea and I wrote down what this said.
As one does.
And then I wrote 50 or
Okay, very good. Mitchell.
At the first, I had no idea, so I wrote 10. I figured we could go for a number.
10's a nice, good, solid number, right?
Yeah, and at the end, I couldn't decide if I'd be like 1, to like tell you be by yourself, or if it'd be like infinite surrounding.
Okay, very good, very good. Lorenzo.
How far are we down to my number? Like 37 or something. That's the same number. And then at the end, I wrote 0 because like no one can touch the middle center.
Very good. Courtney.
Before I put 1,
How come?
I had no clue, and 1 was the first number I thought of. And then when I just did it, I put 2 or more.
2 or more? How come?
I had a reason when I wrote it down, but I don't really remember it now. I'll be honest.
Anybody else want to add why they did what they did?
I put 1 because like I thought like the partners like should contact the one that lay inside the center of the single layer. Like I was thinking just because of the 1, like it's one person contacting somebody, or because like there's just the guide and then it like says me. So it'd be like one of those 2 like being one of the people that contacted. And then at the end I put no 1 because I thought like if they're in hell like the guide, it seemed like a very distant, like the way that they were talking, like they weren't going to get close enough to like converse with them. and that like everyone would just be screaming basically, okay? Like nobody's really like conversing inside.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Anybody else? All right, this is a pretty common exercise in most classrooms across the world, right? You give your students something, you have them discuss it, you start leading them down a path, like I told you that it was from Dante's Inferno. Now all of a sudden you're all these educated people, yep, Dante's Inferno, you start talking about all those things. Something that was very simple because of the discussion became very complicated. Now all of the information compounded, because now you're thinking about, okay, so who was really there? You're trying to draw on that prior knowledge from what you know about Dante's Inferno. All of a sudden, something that was very simple became very complicated in your students' heads. Anybody ever been involved in a conversation like that outside of this example? Now all of a sudden you don't know what to think. Where and you start listening to everybody else, and how come they think this, and how come I don't know about this? What's going on? This used to be really simple. So here's the gist of this, right? Some of you, right away at the beginning, read that as a very simple thing. If you have a round circle, how many souls could contact each other if there's one in the middle of that circle? What? How many are contacting each other then?
1, 2,
Think about that.
it's 3.
Six. There are 6. Exactly. So you had something that was very simple. For at least 2 of you in here, 2 of you had 6. A lot of you had 1. And 1 is really, really close to that because you understood the bottom of that to mean that. Some of you had 10. There was a couple of you had 30, which would be fabulous numbers, right?
37.
30. There you go. Here's the thing with that. We had 2 right answers. We had several who were almost there, and a couple who were like, it's Friday, right? And through the course of the discussion, through the course of adding more information and complicating the literacy behind this, now the second time, how many did I get right? None. In fact, now all those 1s turned into 2s. Some of you put down names. Some of you gave me short stories, right? What does this say about what we do as a discussion in our classes? And I want you to have that conversation with each other first. Yeah. I had it right. I started right. Someone else.
Because then that's a practice.
And those were actually really good connections because you can literally physically do it. It would have still been 6 then. They're still arguing.
Here's you. How is it? Yeah, how is it?
So you have a single circle, and then there's a soul in the center.
Yeah.
And all of those that can contact that one soul. How many bodies fit around that circle?
Why do they give a 5 around the circle?
Around you.
Like it
It's
just
literally, because they have dots, but literally they represent it as circles, and so you can fit 6 circles inside one big circle, no matter. If you were to fill the circle.
Like
Well,
If you were to build a
yeah,
circle.
why can't you put like?
So what are these like equal
The,
circles?
exactly. The idea behind it is that each soul is equal, and thus each circle is going to be the same size.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've ever played that carnival game where they give you a circle and you have to put like discs inside of it where they they can't overlap kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts here? What can we do in a classroom discussion that leads our students from a very simple understanding to something that is much more complicated than it needs to be? What's your thoughts on that? You've all been involved in discussions before. What does that then do to your classroom discussion, to the gist behind what you're doing? Talk about that. What do you think?
So I think when you're leading a discussion or giving a discussion hour, having that be part of your curriculum for the day, I think you have to really watch where they're going and guide them. So if they're going off on some tangent, like how we were going off on the
Dante.
Yeah, I mean, as a teacher, you should be like, whoa, wait a second. Well, like, I don't think it mentions anything about hell in there, except for the damn part. But, so I mean, you just have to kind of grab their hands and say, come back to the original thing. Yeah.
Does it help when you talk to it? Other thoughts? Other thoughts? All right, so this is what I want you to do between now and next Friday. I want you to find something that you might be discussing in one of your classes. It might be a recipe. It might be the way you go about playing a game in FIA. It might be a ton of different things. I want a small summary of what that is. Some of you, it might be an actual example of what it is, right? Some of you are in more content-driven classes. It might be just you explaining how to do something and having the students discuss it, whatever it might be, all right? And then I want you to come up with 10 questions. Those questions need to be questions that you might ask during the course of that discussion that the students are going to have. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to make of those questions. We're going to talk about that next Friday. But I want 10 questions that accompany that particular thing that you might be discussing in class. All right? Does everybody understand that? It's a little bit vague, and I'm okay with vague, but sometimes you guys aren't. So if you want something more specific, I can give you something more specific. Thoughts?
You can put this on each level.
Oh, absolutely.
Make 10 questions that go along.
10 questions that go along with something that you might be having a class discussion about, something that you might be asking them. You might be giving them something that they have to read up on the board, or you might be giving them directions to do something. It could be a ton of different things. 10 questions that you think you might ask as that occurs. Absolutely. Okay. Thoughts?
So this is, for those of us that aren't student teaching right now, this is like a theory or something?
Oh yeah, theory. If you're doing it out in the field already, you're welcome to use something out there. But yeah, theory for those of you who aren't actually out in the field. Yeah.
No, I just saw that.
They don't want to talk, really? Think about FIED. When was the greatest class discussions?
All the time.
Yeah, absolutely. He didn't touch the base. They didn't do it right. I mean, those are all class discussions, right? Absolutely, right? But they're good. Anytime you can get your kids arguing with each other in a limited fashion, you don't want all out brawl. But anytime there's that discussion where they're disagreeing on something, that's a great place to have a class discussion.
Kids wrestle. One kid through kid.
Nice. I love that. That's a good thing.
Dude sits in the top left. Zach, he creates buddy up.
How old are these kids?
Freshman.
Oh, awesome. That's awesome. That is awesome. I love it. I love it.
Oh, no.
Nice.
I said, oh, that was so fun. I said, yeah, do it again.
You're going to be doing the liability insurance? I'm sorry.
I don't know how they get by without liability. One kid just ran up and decked another kid one day. Like,
Oh, you all need liability insurance on your own? Couple million on your own? Yeah. Yeah, if you belong to like if you belong to like SEA or NEA, the student organization here on campus, you do have some liability insurance through that. But if you're in a classroom anymore, you need liability insurance. We cover $2 million on Jeff because he's still in the K-12 system, but he still has $2 million liability insurance to our homeowners. So.
You have $1 million to.
Yeah.
It's only $50.
Yeah, and that's good. That's really good. Usually personal liability insurance isn't a ton of money, but it's a really good thing to have.
You can get a homeowner, like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's a good thing to have because in this day and age, I mean, you know, if the kid gets a paper cut and you told them to like hand out the papers, you might have a mom who says, well, why is my kid handing out the paper? You're doing your job. Yes, but it's 2019 and I've seen them sue for less. So yeah, it's crazy.
Some kids just get.
Yeah. PE, especially Phy Ed. Science is the other one that I highly suggest has stuff. Art, maybe with the kiln, if the kiln blows up, yeah. Because it's kind of a crazy thing, you guys. Your school districts are going to tell you that they have lawyer, they have insurance, those kinds of things, but the school district is a business. They're going to have that stuff for themselves first. You kind of come second. You need to take care of yourself. Facts is the other one. Ag, absolutely. All of those. Shop class is a big one. We had a kid who lost part of the finger when he went through. Yeah. It's all good. What are you going to do? All right? All right. Have a fabulous week. Enjoy yourselves. Fight the good fight. Freddie, good luck this weekend.
Do those have to be taken together?
Human relations is typically taken with 351, yes.
But, are you planning on, because you're already outside of the norms of that, so if you were going to take them together, have a conversation with Dr. Hales. Okay. So you can override some things on that.
Okay.
So if they didn't fit, you didn't need to take them together. I mean, those kinds of things. So.
Good, because I emailed my counselor and she's like, they really should be taken together. And if that's what the course guide says, then yes. And I'm like,